If there's one thing that Teen Titans fans can agree on, it's that we love Red X. Yet throughout the show's tenure, there has been a pervasive question that we've all had. Who exactly is Red X? Now, obviously, he started out as Robin, but as we find out in Season 3, somebody took the suit, and in his following 2 appearances, we never actually get a name drop of who he is. But today, that's going to change. In this video, we are going to analyze every appearance of Red X in Teen Titans and go over every fan theory in order to truly get to the bottom of this mystery. But to start things off, let's go over what we know about the character. Red X's story begins as a thief dressed in Slade's uniform steals a microchip under the Teen Titans' watch. But the culprit turns out to be one of Slade's robot decoys. Frustrated by the taunt, Robin becomes obsessed with catching Slade, isolating himself from the rest of the team. Soon after, a new masked criminal named Red X appears, stealing high-tech components with uncanny precision. In the end, the Titans are shocked to discover that Red X is secretly Robin, who created the persona to infiltrate Slade's operations. His deception fractures the team's trust and ultimately fails when Slade exposes him, leaving Robin humiliated and alone. Later, the Red X suit is stolen by an unknown thief who uses it to steal xenothium, the volatile substance powering the suit. Robin blames himself for creating the persona and hunts the imposter, crossing paths with criminal scientist Professor Chang, who plans to weaponize xenothium to destroy Jump City. Forced to team up, Robin and Red X foil Chang's schemes, but Red X escapes again. In a later race against Ding Dong Daddy, which is just a strange thing to say out loud, Robin faces Red X once more, this time vying for a suitcase containing Robin's deepest secret. Despite competing agendas, Red X ultimately aids Robin, revealing a reluctant code of honor before vanishing into the night. The contents of the case still remain unknown. Red X then appears as a cameo in the episode Homecoming Part 2 with no spoken lines and pops up in a handful of shorts. But to be honest, those aren't really that important or substantial, so let's just move on. So looking at his overall appearances, it is really interesting how little he's actually appeared. I mean, he's only had like 1 real episode, yet he's had such an impact on the fan base that countless fan theories have spun out from his 1 big episode. But with all that being said, let's look at the facts. Number 1. The original Red X was Robin. Robin created the Red X persona as part of an undercover operation to get close to Slade. He built the suit, designed its weapon systems, and stole advanced technology to make it look authentic. The suit runs on a rare unstable energy source called xenothium that powers both the belt's weapon systems and teleportation functions. So whoever wears the suit gains its abilities, but the power source itself is dangerous and limited. 2. The second Red X is obviously not Robin. By the time of Season 3's episode X, the suit has been stolen by an unknown thief. This new Red X is clearly not Robin. He's taller, arguably more experienced, and consistently calls Robin Kid. He even anticipates the Titans' strategies, which also could suggest insider knowledge of their teamwork and weaknesses, possibly from observation or even prior experiences with similar training. And unlike Robin, he shows no personal vendetta against Slade or the Titans, acting purely for his own gain. He even turns down alliances and even helps Robin stop Professor Chang's xenothium plot, suggesting he's not working under anyone's orders. Number 3. He is morally gray, not outright evil. The second Red X has no interest in world domination or destruction. Despite being a thief and manipulator, Red X operates by his own ethical compass. As I said before, he helps Robin defeat Chang, thanks Robin when saved, and exits without unnecessary violence. So this means his motives are selfish but pragmatic. He's more of an opportunist, not necessarily a villain. And number 4, as we know, his identity is never revealed. The show intentionally withholds his name, background, and face. His voice is electronically distorted, and no canon material, not even Teen Titans Go or tie-in comics, provides a definitive answer. The creative team also has publicly stated that his identity was left ambiguous on purpose. So really, we don't have a lot to go off of, but this hasn't stopped fans from speculating ad nauseum. So perhaps the most popular and notorious fan theory is that Red X is none other than Jason Todd, a theory that even Beast Boy himself mentions in the episode.
Okay, if he's not Robin's evil twin, then he's obviously a bionic monkey infused with Robin's DNA.
Dude, it has to be Jason Todd.
Told ya, Jason Todd.
Keep guessing, kids.
I still think you're Jason Todd!
As a quick recap, Jason Todd is the second Robin in DC Comics, Batman's rebellious, hot-headed protege who met a brutal end at the hand of the Joker, only to be resurrected later as the anti-hero Red Hood. Unlike the more idealistic Robins before and after him, Jason's story is defined by pain, rage, and conflict, and he doesn't believe in Batman's no-kill rule, kind of blurring the lines between hero and vigilante and kind of like DC's Punisher. Fans have pointed out that Red X uses the same fighting style as Robin, and note that Red X debuted around the same time the comics brought Jason back as Red Hood, that being around 2004-2005. However, the show never introduces Jason or any other Robins, leaving, as far as we know, Dick Grayson, the one from the show, as the one and only. Moreover, the whole concept just doesn't make sense unless we make some big adjustments to the standard Batman canon. Typically, Dick Grayson is older than Jason, whereas it can be assumed that Red X is at least a little bit older than Robin on the account that he keeps saying kid. So if this is Jason and he is older than Dick, then it would imply that Jason was Robin before Dick, which has had precedent in the comics before. In the Batman White Knight universe, that is exactly what happened. Jason Todd was Robin first, he quote-unquote died, then Dick Grayson came in and took up the mantle. Theoretically, this could happen, but it just seems a little unnecessary. One could even argue that Jason and Dick could have been Robin at the same time, a concept that I actually do like a lot in base canon and seems to be what Dynamic Duo was doing, but in this case, again, it kind of seems unnecessary. So despite the fact that there's a slight overlap with Red Hood and Red X's characters that spurred on this theory, to be honest, it relies too heavily on external Batman lore rather than on-screen evidence. And it really pains me to say this, especially as someone who's a massive Jason Todd Red Hood fan, I think I have to say this theory is extremely unlikely. Another one of the biggest theories is that Red X is Grant Wilson. In the comics, Grant Wilson, better known as Ravager, is the eldest son of Slade. Unlike his father, Grant lacks the discipline and training that made Slade such an effective killer, driven instead by resentment, jealousy, and a desperate need to prove himself. When Hive manipulated him into fighting Teen Titans, they enhanced him with powers similar to his father's, but his body couldn't handle it and he died in battle. Burning out from the very serum meant to make him unstoppable. Fans have pointed out that somebody who knows Robin's fighting style and the Titans' operations would fit better if related to Slade somehow. Grant also makes thematic sense as someone who'd want power, maybe even resents his father, and wants to work from the shadows. There is also some canon evidence that this could be the case. In the show, we are introduced to one of Slade's children, Joseph, aka Jericho. However, a relationship to Slade is never mentioned or explored. Slade's daughter Rose, aka the second Ravager, also appears in the Teen Titans tie-in comics, hoping to continue her father's legacy, but ultimately decides to kind of join the Titans instead. So 2 out of 3 kids have already appeared, and because of this, one could easily assume that Grant is somewhere out there in the universe. But based on how he is in the comics and how accurate the other 2 portrayals are, I feel like him taking the Red X mantle would kind of be odd. He wants to be like his father, so I feel like he would be more inclined to be Slade 2.0 rather than Red X 2.0. Also, someone who is canonically known to want to be just like his father, taking on the mantle of some kid his father referred to as a son one time would probably not happen for obvious reasons. Moving on to perhaps one of the most interesting theories I've discovered while researching this topic, some fans have proposed that Red X is an older future version of Robin who traveled back in time. Evidence cited include that Red X refers to the Titans as kids, suggesting he's older, and the fact that Teen Titans lore already includes time travel in alternate futures. In fact, in one episode, Starfire sees a dystopian future where Robin is Nightwing. With this in mind, fans have imagined that Nightwing came back in time in order to change fate. And maybe it wasn't a coincidence that the very first theory that Beast Boy suggested was none other than a time-traveling Nightwing. This to me holds a lot of potential. Red X has Robin's voice, he knows about the suit in the first place, knows how to operate it effectively, knows about the Teen Titans and their weaknesses, and isn't trying to outright beat the Titans, just accomplish a goal only he knows about. And surprisingly, a time-traveling Nightwing is canon. In issue number 31 of the tie-in comics, Nighttime, Nightwing comes back from the future to warn the Teen Titans about Warp, who, through some time travel shenanigans, turned Robin evil. So one could legitimately argue that the future just gets really dark, that something really bad could have happened and Nightwing, using Warp's tech, travels back in time. takes on his former mantle of Red X and actively changes things in the background in order to alter the future. Also, during the whole Ding Dong Daddy debacle, again, can't get over that name, involving Robin's stolen case, Red X arrives before all the other villains were notified, showing he had pre-existing knowledge of this event going down. He drives a bike extremely similar to Robin's, and when the rest of the villains finally do show up, Red X assists Robin in taking them all down with really not that much convincing. Like, it's not even a debate, he just kind of does it. Also, if Red X is Nightwing from the future, then this conversation takes on a whole new meaning with this added context.
Why are you doing this? You're only helping him.
You've got it all wrong, kid. I'm only interested in helping myself.
It means nothing to you. It's only valuable to me.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Whose side are you on, barf brain?
Mine!
Now, the counterpoints to this theory is that the show never hints that time travel is involved with Red X, so this theory really hinges on extrapolating the one Nightwing episode and comic. And finally, one of the most prevalent fan theories is that Red X is less about who's under the mask and more about what the mask represents. It's Robin's guilt, obsession, and the consequences of his choices. Ergo, it doesn't really matter who's under the mask because they are nobody. Red X really is someone no one has met or known in the show, a thief who just grabbed the suit with no deeper past connections. This fits with how little the writers have revealed, keeps the mystery, and it's also been implied by the creators that the identity wasn't really important enough to reveal. It's almost like the Joker. Like, stick with me here, I'm going somewhere with this. Keeping the Joker's origins a mystery is crucial because it preserves his role as an embodiment of chaos rather than a traditional relatable villain. If the audience knows exactly why he became who he is, it risks humanizing him way too much, making him a character with a predictable backstory and potentially eliciting sympathy that could undermine his menace. Keeping Red X's origins unclear preserves his intrigue and allows him to function as a wild card in the narrative. His unpredictable alliances, skills, and moral flexibility keeps both the heroes and the audience guessing. Revealing too much too soon would risk turning him into just another conventional villain or side character, stripping away the tension that comes from not knowing whether he'll help, hinder, or betray. Mystery in his case isn't about menace, it's about ambiguity, cleverness, and the allure of someone who operates outside the usual moral rules. Also, let's be totally honest here, if we all knew who he actually was, his popularity would not nearly be as big. I really like the concept of Red X being, for lack of a better term, Robin's Joker. This big mistake he made in the past coming back to haunt him, literally. It really works symbolically and is something I wish would be adapted into the comics. Because seriously, Nightwing does need a better rogues gallery because it is extremely weak, and who better to fill the role of his arch nemesis than Red X, an unknown enigma who, no matter how hard he tries, is unable to uncover the truth. This could also play on his insecurities of not living up to Batman and yada yada, getting off point, but you get it. But again, getting back to Teen Titans continuity, some plot points like his knowledge of the Titans and his fighting style seem to argue for someone with pre-existing skills / access, which is less likely for a random thief. And more importantly, this raises the question, why give so many parallels to Robin unless the identity ties back to him in some way, shape, or form? There are still a handful of other theories people have had in the past. He's a clone, he's Dick Grayson's long-lost brother, he's an interdimensional imp, a bionic monkey, or the suit is being controlled by an AI. Regardless, out of all of these theories we've covered today, to me, I believe the most likely identity of Red X honestly is Nightwing, the future Robin. Again, Red X sounds and fights just like Robin, not just similar, but almost like he was trained exactly like Robin. He not only knows where the suit is stored, but also knows how to use it. He calls the Titans kids, which fits an older, experienced individual. He anticipates the Titans' moves like someone who knows the team intimately. He knows about Robin's stolen case before it's announced to the rest of the villains, and even helps Robin protect its secrets, which could imply he knows about the contents and the damage of the truth getting out. And more importantly, Teen Titans has already toyed with alternate timelines and futures, both in the show and tie-in comics, so time travel is a plausible mechanism in universe. So to me, the most likely identity for Red X is that he is a future Nightwing who went back in time and took the suit in order to nudge events away from the darker outcome. He uses anonymity to do things Nightwing or Robin couldn't do as a straight-up hero. He steals, manipulates, gets close to enemies, and tests the Titans without breaking trust overtly. The show intentionally gives us enough to suspect someone close to Robin, but not enough to prove it. So to me, this is the most satisfying single answer that fits on-screen evidence and storytelling logic. Red X is an older Robin, Nightwing, who came back in time to basically play chess with the timeline and course correct his mistakes. This concept also aligns with the whole point of Red X, exploring Robin's guilt, regret, obsession, and the consequences of his choices. He's literally going back in time and using the mantle to correct all of those things.